this side's a little bit gappier. So when you go to push that roller, it moves about 4 millimeters because it goes up, and when it goes up, it lifts the latch and unlocks the door. And so if some of those dimensions are out, it will start to push the door before lifting the latch. And so the latch will come back and bind.
So we have, may I approach your honor and give them the example?
Yeah.
You turn
Yeah,
it
the
around.
orientation, my orientation is always inside the hoistway, so now we're inside the hoistway. Look, so now we're on the other side of those doors, we're there.
Right. So the dynamic that of
So now we're on the other side of those doors, we're there.
right. So the dynamic that of clearance, is it a function of the what I call the hook?
Sure. You've got that little timing issue where you're going to lift while you're pulling the doors open. So you need a little bit of clearance there. And then if you bind it, it can't lift because the doors are pushing it open. And so you would get what's a hung lock, and the elevator would sit there and not open the doors for a few moments, and then it would probably move to the next floor.
Okay. In a sense, it would the elevator's design would conclude this: the hallway door's not opening, it's bound, and go to the next floor.
It's just going to give up and go to the next
And
floor.
so, what is the dynamic where the clutch hits the wheels? What is the orientation?
So you've got a vane, and that's on the car door. So this is stationary, it's bolted to the back side of those doors. And then you've got a vane that goes up. And there's a little bit of like an 8 millimeter gap, and then there's about a 4 or 5 more millimeter stroke, we would call it, and then the doors start to open. So that when you're at the full open, your car doors would be behind the jamb about maybe half an inch, and the hoistway doors would be relatively flush to the jamb.
The dynamic we're dealing with in this case is where the clutch struck appears undisputed. The clutch struck those rollers,
And lift
and
it
it
over.
caused a disconnect to occur. So then the elevator stopped.
Okay.
So in that scenario, which way are the rollers going?
So
Have they gone to?
we're behind the door there. The vane is coming up. It's struck and lifted.
So it's moved too far to the right.
So either this got moved over, or the door got moved over, or probably not much here, but something changed in these slotted holes, this position.
What about the box? Which way would the box need to move relative to causing a dynamic?
Objection, Your Honor. We heard testimony that this demonstrative wasn't the correct door lock, and now he's asking for his opinion on it.
Overall, that'll go to the weight of the evidence.
What was your question?
Which way would the box need to move in order for? The interlock box that's installed at the hotel, are you familiar with them?
No. The bolts?
Well, the entire box. So can the box literally move left or right?
I believe there is a slot that allows that box to move back and forth, yes.
What about up and down?
Just in the room of the hardware, whatever allowance the hardware would have in clearance. As you can see, this is designed to be up and down,
Mm-hmm.
but you could twist it. You know, there's some clearance because you got to be able to put the bolts in. And so you could, and the twisting of it could bring it closer or further. Again, if somebody's yanking, it doesn't necessarily just perfectly move apart. It could be a twist. Even this could be twisted,
Okay.
based on whatever force was put on it.
So relative to the processes you've set in motion, relative to the check charts, the universe of maintenance associated with the interlock. You got the cleaning, you got observing, adjustments as needed.
As needed. Yeah, there shouldn't be adjustments. But of course, if there's as needed, is needed.
And what duration for the adjustments? I mean, it seems to me, as you say, as needed, so, adjustments should be performed on a monthly basis, if needed.
Adjustments, no. Observation, we want to see somebody putting eyes on it monthly. We have elevators running for 30 years. There are doors we've never touched.
I didn't mean to suggest otherwise. I was just saying on an as-needed basis.
Monthly. We have elevators running for 30 years. There are doors we've never touched.
I didn't mean to suggest otherwise. I was just saying on an as-needed basis, one of the processes would be to adjust.
We've never touched.
I didn't mean to suggest otherwise. I was just saying on an I didn't mean to suggest otherwise. I was just saying on an as-needed basis, one of the processes would be to adjust on a monthly basis if needed.
If needed. So, quite often there's an entrapment. Fire department brings the jaws of life. We're doing all kinds of adjustments. And that's probably more in the realm of repair.
In terms of the interlock basis, one of the processes would be to adjust on a monthly basis if needed.
If needed. So, quite often there's an entrapment. Fire department brings the jaws of life. We're doing all kinds of adjustments. And that's if needed. So, quite often there's an entrapment. Fire department brings the jaws of life. We're doing all kinds of adjustments. And that's probably more in the realm of repair.
In terms of the interlock,
An entrapment. Fire department brings the jaws of life. We're doing all kinds of adjustments. And that's probably more in the realm of repair.
in terms of the interlock failure dynamic, is that a common issue, uncommon issue?
The doors are the biggest cause of callbacks in general.
And that includes interlock?
That would include interlocks and debris in the sill and customer interaction with hoistway doors.
I've heard a metric of 80% are door related. Is that consistent with what you say?
We haven't, anecdotally, I can say from experience, it seems like it's higher than 60, but I don't know.
Okay.
models of elevator to each other. I think most importantly, I compare one branch to another branch. So the elevators in Hawaii should run the same as the elevators in LA. Importantly, I compare one branch to another branch. So the elevators in Hawaii should run the same as the elevators in LA. If I see callbacks are higher in Dallas than the average, mean average, then we'll start talking to that branch.
Again, is your analysis callbacks just by region and over a monthly period, or?
So it's a total callback rate that I throw out there, that one.
Again, is your analysis callbacks just by region and over a monthly period, or?
So it's a total callback rate that I throw out there, that one. But we do compare regions. So I'm reading through, and as the completed ticket summary showed, that's LA. So there's a different job set numbers for other branches. So I'm able to break out the callback rates for each of the major cities and compare those cities to each other.
And so your analysis relative to callback rates is done on a location basis?
Well, it's you got a problem. Anecdotally, the service mechanics, they themselves know. They themselves don't want to get called back to this job through traffic at the end of the day. And so it's in their interest to figure out what this issue is. They will call for help, tech support, and somebody will come and help them. So there is that informal level. Of course, the mechanic has intimate knowledge of a particular elevator that's given him fits, and he'll call for help for that.
Fair enough, but relative to your
Of course, the mechanic has intimate knowledge of a particular elevator that's given him fits, and he'll call for help for that.
fair enough, but relative to your role. Fair enough, but
Call for help for that.
fair enough, but relative to your role on a mechanic by mechanic basis, are you taking on a monthly basis, looking at how many service calls are associated with a particular mechanic and identifying a metric and then looking closer?
No.
So how are you calling out relative? I'm not understanding how you're getting to a particular elevator with a problem unless you've got 3 or 4 in 1 month.
They are, they must, yeah. The MCP came in 22. It comes in different cities adopt the code at different times. MCP came in 22. It comes in different cities adopt the code at different times, and we try to be uniform in it. And I believe our intent was, with the LMH, that indicates to me that we're trying to comply with the MCP national standard, even if a particular city didn't. Is still at 2004.
I understand that, but again, you indicated that you're gonna have uniform across the board.
And I don't know which version we're at.
In Southern California, you were either complying with the 2010 version or the 2013 version.
One of those, yeah, I think so.
To the, because MCP is delineates, I mean, that's what the check charts are, right? That's gonna tell you what maintenance needs to be performed.
That is correct, yeah.
And so the check approach relative to the, because MCP is delineates, I mean, that's what the check charts are, right? That's gonna tell you what maintenance needs to be performed.
That is correct, yeah.
And so the check charts are intended to comply with the requirements of the 2010 or 20, relative to that? Because it's ultimately the data entered on the text phones that gets into that data dump, right?
Yes.
And so when I looked at the data dump, it would identify that there was maintenance performed, but it wouldn't tell you what type of maintenance. Agreed?
I don't know what was on the phone.
Well, my question is more directed to those charts that you're reviewing. You know, again, I got the Excel version, I got the PDF version of maintenance. Agreed?
I don't know what was on the phone.
Well,
The, what they used on the phone, I don't know. If he's just filling out a scope and he didn't put details in the resolution, I don't know.
I didn't see that relative to maintenance, so that, and let's be clear, the check charts are not part of the data dump. Those are separate and distinct, right?
Correct.
So set the check charts aside. We're just dealing with the data that comes to your company through the phone that ultimately you're reviewing. That doesn't include the details of the maintenance, does it?
Can we take a quick look at that summary listing you showed me before?
Which one do you want to look at?
The one you previously showed me. I can flip back a couple pages.
Tell us which one, when you go there, tell us which one you're looking at.
I can flip back a couple pages.
Tell us which one, when you go there, tell us which one you're looking at. Tell us which one, when you go there, tell us which one you're looking at. Then you go 34.
34.
It's tab 33 he's referring to, I believe.
Then you go 34.
34 just shows.
Then you go 34.
34 33, that just shows.
Then you go 34.
34
It's tab 33 he's referring to, I believe. I don't think you're looking at the same document.
May I approach you?
Yeah. It's tab 33 he's referring to, I believe. I don't think you're looking at the same document.
May I approach you?
Yeah.
The MCP requires periodic, so they're very kind to leave it vague. They don't say monthly or weekly, but it's in our intent that a mechanic would look at things monthly at a minimum. I don't know if this mechanic had a very light route, or if he was resident here, or that he had more time, but yeah, I can't speak to it. If he was resident here, or that he had more time, but yeah, I can't speak to it.
And look, these hash marks here, are they reflecting work that was done or work that didn't need to occur?
I believe it seems to be indicating that he was checking these off as doing them.
Okay.
That's my impression here.
And from your vantage point, that didn't need to occur?
Correct.
I don't think I have anything further.
All right, do you wanna take 1 minute of cross-examination, or should we start tomorrow? Tomorrow?
Yeah,
Yes.
hopefully we're gonna have to do it by technology,
That's fine.
so it's
No-
just a
no
matter
worries.
of getting
But
it to
just-
work.
But also you have to worry about the exhibits, if you're showing him exhibits.
We were able to, when we did the, because she was a beta test relative to that,
Yeah.
and
I understand.
she indicated she was able to see them. So yeah, that's gonna be significant.
All right, let's hope.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. All right, I'll see you tomorrow at 10.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
So that's summary.